I'm still asking myself how this is going to go. Um, but currently reading Before I Let Go, and I'm literally on page 40, just started. And I'm already liking this. I'm already liking this way more than I did the Hoop series. And I'm already invested. And I already can tell I'm going to cry. So, you know, let me keep reading this. I'll be back when I read more.
Much later.
Okay, guys, I am casually here in my bonnet and I am in my bed reading Before I Let Go. But y'all, I might end up DNFing it. I might end up DNFing this book. Why do I never like the popular romances that everybody and their mama like? I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling like, when you're like, bitch, she almost kissed her. Bitch, he touched her hand. I don't feel that. I'm just like, okay. Like, I don't feel the tension in my own body. I want to let this go. That's it, y'all. Okay, everyone. So, this has been a highly talked about book. And it didn't even come out that long ago. Why? I think it came out longer ago than it came out in November. But I thought it came out like at the top of last year. But anyway, for the past couple of months, it's been, I haven't seen not one person say anything bad about this book. And it's got the girls in their feels. And I wanted to be a part of the conversation. I wanted to see what was up. So I kept passing. You're like, what book is she talking about? I mean, you already know because you've seen the title. But I kept passing the book in Target because it was on sale. And I was like, oh, do I want to buy it? Do I not want to buy it? And then I remember, I have a library card. I can read this book for free. So then I went to the library. And as you guys know, because you already seen my last video, I ended up getting a whole bunch of books because I don't know why I forgot the library was a thing, for a couple of, for a minute. But I personally like to buy books and read them because sometimes I'll pick up a book, start it, put it back down, and then months later I'll like suddenly decide to read through it in like 2-3 days. So I don't know. I just like, and if I like the book, I like having the book for reference, like in my collection to go back to revisit. Because sometimes I want to revisit a book. There's some books that I've read from the library that I'm just like, I should have bought this book. Anyway, but back to the point. So the book we're talking about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is what we're talking about today. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I swear I've seen this all over Instagram, all over TikTok, all over YouTube. And I wanted to be a part of, the conversation. So Before I Let Go is a story, it's a second chance romance. Okay? But it follows Josiah and Yasmin for following them 2 years outside of their divorce, and they had just went through a really rough patch in their marriage where they lost an aunt, or Josiah lost an aunt who pretty much raised him, and also dealt with a really tragic miscarriage. And just the grieving of it all really took a toll on them, and they ultimately divorced. And we come into their lives 2 years outside of this divorce as things are starting to, get into the groove of their new normal. And pretty much is they've always been a part of each other's lives, but the point we come into the book, they are at the point of really like coming outside of their grief, or coming outside of the point of like healing, to come to some type of reconciliation. Yeah, so it's like a change romance. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm trying to not give away too much in the book because honestly, not much happens in the book. It's really just them going back and, yeah, reconciling the demise of their marriage, and realizing that they still have love for each other, and just going through the grieving work of what happened to them 2 years ago. But but I really struggled through this book. I don't know why. At some point I felt like it was a little too long, at some points, and then at near the end I was like breezing through it. So at some point in the middle I was just all like, maybe some of the detailing could have been cut out. But in terms of the characters, Yasmin and Josiah, let me just say this from the jump, y'all. Let me work through my feelings. Uh, I was not in love with this book as much. I think the hype got to me, and never let the hype get to y'all. Like, never ever let the hype get to y'all. I think the hype really, I wanted to adorn it and love it as much as it seems I was getting in, people's reviews and recaps of the book. And maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I had went into the story blind, but I didn't. Okay. And I think maybe it kind of ruined my experience of reading this book. So I know better for next time. I know better for next time. And I don't know why before I let go, just something was a disconnect for me. Like, so much grieving. Like, they lost their Aunt Bird, who is Josiah's aunt who raised him. And they also were grieving the loss, a very tragic loss of a child. And I don't know why I didn't connect with that grieving. Like, I now, like, people, I've seen reviews where people are in tears, and I don't know why I wasn't in tears. Like, I was not feeling the feels. I felt somewhat disconnected from, I didn't feel tapped in or tuned in with what the characters were feeling. And I can't put my finger on to why. That I'm still working through. But um when we come, maybe because we don't like this, maybe could have done better as like maybe like a two part, I don't know, with just a little more context into the good part, the good time of the relationship, like at the beginning when things were like, we as a reader, we're not getting, when I'm not fully invested because I don't see the full picture. I'm just getting a glimpse into after the love, the heartache, the demise, and then we're just coming in at the point of reconciliation. I feel like I've been using reconciliation a lot in my videos these days, but like when the book begins with just at the just a glimpse at the beginning, like before they're married, when they meet, like they give us a glimpse about when Josiah and Yasmin first meet. Um And I wish maybe there was a little bit more. Maybe there was some more flashbacks or something into like the good times of their marriage, instead of us constantly getting that feeling from their own recollection, like from their own inner thoughts. Um yeah, because I didn't feel the feels that they felt for one another as a reader. That's just me. And also, this is just a total aside. So, their nickname, Josiah's nickname was Sai, but it's in the book is it reads as C, like Cloud Casey, like. And every time I read it, I would keep reading C, and it's no, it's Sai. It just kind of took me out for a second. And Yasmin, her nickname is Yaz, but it's, for me it read like Yas, like girl, yes, you was doing that kind of yes, and instead of like yes, that also took me out at times. It did. It took me out. So, with that, there was also just strange for me, strange transitions between the moments of grief to the moments of lust. There's two moments in the book where they're like deeply connecting and grieving, and like processing their loss together, when it turns into like deep physical intimacy. And it kind of threw me off, because I was just all like, do they really need to be intimate in this, like in this moment? You know what I'm saying? There's just a couple of and it's not just this book. I've been feeling that in other books too. And I feel like a lot of the times, like, you can get that same intimacy or that same feeling that the characters are connected without like 5 different sex scenes. That's how I be feeling. There's so many other ways to write intimacy. Um, and I feel like they've been together, they've formed this family. Like, why couldn't we get their, I mean, apart from when they're speaking to each other and processing the losses of their marriage, the losses in the relationship and in their life. There's so many other ways we could have gotten intimacy from these characters, and it will also have made me believe more how deeply in love they are with one another without being told they're deeply in love with each other, because it was just like grieving lust, and the love area was murky for me. um so yeah, and then the children, mostly Deja. I guess my question throughout the book was like, why? I understand why Kasim ends up in therapy, and also I understand that plot point because it pushes Josiah to also go into therapy. And black men, men in therapy, like that's a whole plot point that I liked. I wish there was more scenes of Josiah going through these therapy sessions. Um, but I feel like so many people are hard on Deja, but also I feel like Deja kind of gets forgotten as like this young girl that's also dealing with this loss. And it's like, why didn't y'all think to put her and the son in therapy? Or sometimes, well, they did put them in grieving counseling, but it's like you see that she's acting out. You're saying that's like not really her behavior, and she's obviously, dealing with this divorce. Why didn't y'all put the baby girl in therapy? Why didn't y'all do it? I was just a little bit confused, but I get it. Like, Josiah himself was like, I'm not really into the therapy stuff. Um oh, also, guys, this is a side note. I got on the Fenty highlighter because they mentioned Trophy Wife in the book. And I was like, bitch, I remember I used to love Trophy Wife. I don't know if y'all can catch the lighting, the gold, but she made me want to pull it back out, so I pulled it back out for this video. Fenty, okay, not Fenty everything, but the base is all Fenty, baby. I want to be thoughtful in why this book wasn't everything that I wanted it to be. Because I'm probably gonna make that the intro. I'm probably gonna make this the intro. But I came into the book like really liking this. I thought I was gonna do a vlog, but somewhere at the midpoint I was just like, this ain't it. And that's another thing. I was like, they kept putting I did not enjoy how they kept putting everything on Yasmin, and like she was the reason for the demise of this marriage, and how she didn't try. But my question was, how did Josiah try? Like, to me, trying is, and we're talking about in the relationship, not in everything else, because he was like, oh, I didn't want the work to fall apart, I didn't want the house to fall apart, but your relationship was falling apart. How did you try to save this relationship? I mean, granted, I'm sure Yasmin didn't know what she wanted. She was just trying to like, at this point, stay alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, baby was deeply depressed, and it was kind of like, yeah, it was frustrating that they kept having these feelings and just like not just being honest about the feelings that they were having. And also, I guess that leads to the demise of the relationship. Like, Josiah's sad, Yasmin is sad. Why am I sad? Because of this. Why am I resentful? Because, and just kind of like sitting with that emotion and really sitting that there and processing it. And obviously, they need a therapist. They need the tools in order to do that. And now that I'm having this discussion with myself, it's actually kind of making me like the book more. But I just feel like it just wasn't connecting. And she made some really poignant points about therapy. I loved some moments in the book. Like, okay, let me pull out a specific quote. So she says, Yasmin, I mean, seeing myself clearly, good, bad, beautiful, ugly, faults, mistakes, acknowledging what I really think and feel, and not judging those emotions, understanding myself, not censoring it, having compassion for myself. And I guess that just goes on to the rant that I said, because we get there at the end. I think I was just frustrated with them throughout the book. But that's how I feel. Like every time Josiah's like, I don't see the point of therapy. Well, I mean, therapy is not supposed. I mean, it can be life changing, but therapy is just supposed to give you like the tools. It's just like a bouncing board. It's just helping you navigate through your emotions and giving you the tools to sit down with your emotions and be like, okay, I feel this way. Okay, then this, then that. Because you know what? We always talk about processing and healing and sitting with your, what does it even look like to sit with your emotions? You know, that is, for some of us, that's a challenge. If we're being honest, guys, I'm more invested in what Soledad is happening with Soledad and Edward, and I hope she ends up with somebody else, because Edward obviously cheating, baby girl. Edward is cheating. Just let that man go. Let him go to the wayside. Go find somebody else. You know. Let that be that. And also, with the friendship, I did appreciate the friendship between Hendrix, Soledad, and Yasmin. But where were her friends from? Like, where are the people that were there since like the marriage? So none of the people that were there at the wedding, like, they're gone. She said we lost them. Like, they're not really our good friends. She said the closest people to me are the people from 2 years ago. I don't know why that had me like, I don't know why that had me a little, okay. That had me a little concerned. You know, there was nobody popped up from the past life. I mean, Josiah had Preach. Yeah, Josiah just had Preach. I just needed a little bit more something. Just a little bit more something. And it's not like a 3, maybe like a 3.5 or 4. And 4, I feel like I'm buying into hype. It's a 3.5. It's always a 3.5. It is. It's a little bit above average for me, but it didn't wow me, guys. It didn't wow me. I wanna cry. I wanna smile. I wanna feel like the tension that they feel, you know. I wanna feel the feels. I didn't feel the feels. And there was a lot, you know, a lot of reasons to feel the feel in this book, and I didn't feel it. But I felt the cover. The cover's cute. The cover's cute. It just, at some points, it dragged. And, yeah, it just dragged. And at some point at the end of the book, they were, like, just back to back, sleeping together. It was just too much. It was too much. And maybe I just need more outside interaction. You know, it was just 95% of the book was her and Josiah. And I didn't even talk about their side people, Vashti and Mark. What was the point? I hope Vashti gets her own whole book of her while because they opened another store. I hope while Vashti's in Charlotte, she gets her whole own series that's more fulfilling than what she got in this book. Because I was just like, why is Vashti here? Granted, she seemed like a nice girl, but why is she here? This is obviously what was the point of bringing these outside characters if they were just going half-heartedly be in these relationships with these people? I was like, this is a waste of pages. I didn't even need their scenes. I didn't even need them in the book. Yeah, guys. 3.5. I'm so sorry. I know, yeah, I tried to be thorough about why I didn't love this, so I wouldn't get dragged. Tell me if you guys felt what I felt. Yeah, tell me if you felt what I felt. Yeah, because I didn't feel this. And tell me I'm not the only one that didn't feel this. Now I'm going to go look at Goodreads reviews and YouTube videos of people who didn't feel it, so I can feel like I'm not crazy or I have no taste. Anyways, if, again, you've read this book, you've loved it or hated it, I don't care. Let me know in the comments. And I'll be back with another review on another week. So, deuces, y'all.